Hello, everybody. I have a little friend with me. Say hi to Penelope. Oh, you okay, sweetie? She's sitting on the chair beside me in my backyard. I am Sandy from the police department, and I am going to read to you chapter 23 of Kate DiCamillo's Louisiana's Way Home with the permission of Candlewick Press, the publisher. Here we go. In the morning, Burke went to school. He said he would find an atlas and tear out the map of Florida and locate Lister and figure out exactly how to get there. And Betty Allen washed my dress for me, and that was very nice and thoughtful of her. At 11:30 sharp, I walked into the Goodnight Sleep Tight and turned myself over to Bernice, who did not have curlers in her hair. You can imagine my surprise. I almost didn't recognize her. She was wearing a shiny black dress, and her hair wasn't very curly when you considered how much time it had spent in curlers. Mostly Bernice looked annoyed. Well, I was annoyed too. I wanted my suitcase back, and I wanted to go home, even though I felt somewhat sad about sundering myself from Betty Allen and Burke Allen, and also from Grandfather Burke Allen, who was very good about sharing his food with me. We drove to the Lonely Shepherd Church in Bernice's green Buick Skylark. Bernice didn't speak to me, and I didn't speak to her. Bernice and I were never going to be friends, and that was just fine with me. Actually, I hoped that I never had to see her again in my life. I hoped that I never had to see Miss Lulu again either. "You're going to sing twice," said Miss Lulu to me when we arrived at the church. She held up two fingers, at the beginning of the funeral and again at the end. "You're going to sing the same song both times." The song was Amazing Grace, and it is the song that I have sung 100,000 times before, because it is what the people always want sung at funerals, and I have sung at 100,000 funerals because it's a good way for that granny person to make some money. "Here are the words, said Miss Lulu, if you would like to review them." She handed me a piece of sheet music. I didn't take it from her. "I know the words," I said. She sighed, and the sigh smelled like caramel. "You think that eating all that candy would rot her teeth out, and I hoped it did." "I wondered if this child takes her responsibility here seriously," Miss Lulu said to Bernice. "I assure you she does," said Bernice. She gave me a deadly look. "Well, let me tell you something," said Miss Lulu. "I discovered her sneaking around Reverend Obertask's office yesterday with his pipe in her hand. Can you imagine?" "She's capable of anything," said Bernice. "Her grandmother has disappeared, you know, vanished, left the child here on her own. As far as I can tell, she's staying with the Allens, and as you are well aware, that Burke Allen is nothing but a truant and a vandal, and he will certainly do nothing to further this child's moral education." The two of them went on talking like I wasn't even standing there. Miss Lulu's curlers bounced with every word she said. Bernice's fake curls, however, did not move at all. The church was filling up with people, and Reverend Obertask appeared and said to me, "Louisiana Elefante, it is a delight to gaze upon your winsome face once again." Miss Lulu snorted. Reverend Obertask put a comforting hand on my shoulder, and he said, "Let's get this show on the road." "We will begin with the child singing," said Miss Lulu. "Just as it should be," said Reverend Obertask. "Just exactly as it should be." The light came in through the stained glass windows. Bernice went and sat down, and Miss Lulu started to play the organ, and I stood up there and sang. Miss Lulu's playing was terrible, of course, but it was just not possible for me to sing without putting my whole heart into it. You have a gift, Louisiana. And the more of yourself you put into the song, the more powerful, the more truthful the song becomes. That's what Granny said to me. As if that woman knew anything about the truth. What a liar she was. She was nothing but a liar. Maybe I wasn't found in an alley at all. Who could say? And speaking of alleys, what kind of people put their baby on top of a pile of cardboard boxes in a dark alley? It was just terrible, just as Reverend Obertask had said. My parents were terrible. No real mother would ever leave her baby in an alley. Why, Betty Allen would never do such a thing to Burke Allen in a million trillion years. Oh, it made me mad to think about all of it. And even though I was mad, I put myself into the song. I put every bit of myself into it. There was a rustling out in the pews. It was the sound of people pulling tissues out of their pockets and purses. They were all crying, and that was good. I wanted them to cry. I put even more of myself into the song, and then I sang something truly terrible. I saw something truly terrible. Sitting right in the front row was Miss Ivy from the dentist's office. Her lips were a straight line, and she was pulling a piece of paper out of her purse. Oh my goodness, it was the bill for the teeth removal. She was waving it in the air. And then I noticed that Dr. Fox was sitting right next to Mrs. Ivy. His little round glasses were winking in the light. He was wearing his dental coat, and there was a spot of blood on it. It seemed like a very inappropriate thing to wear to a funeral. The room tilted sideways, and then it righted itself again. My goodness, the church was like a ship on stormy waters. I kept singing. And then I saw her. I saw Granny. I couldn't believe it. She was sitting right behind Dr. Fox. She was wearing her fur coat. She was smiling at me, using all of her teeth. Was she back already from fighting the curse? How did she manage to recover her teeth? Was there no end to her powers? Way at the back of the church, somebody went floating by in a trapeze kind of outfit, which is not the kind of thing you should wear to a funeral. But maybe the spangly outfit was something I imagined, because it was a flash of light and then it was gone. When I looked away from the glittery light and back at Granny, she was smiling at me. Still, she was sitting up very tall, reminding me to stand up straight and project my heart into the world. I shook my head. The sanctuary was tilting terribly again. Everything was sliding to one side. I stopped singing, and then Miss Lulu stopped playing the organ. What a relief. Everything was silent as could be. And that is when Clarence flew into the Good Shepherd, his dark feathers shining like a light. Clarence had come looking for me. It was so quiet in the church that you could hear the flapping of his wings. It sounded like the beating of a heart. Granny smiled at me, and she said, "Provisions have been made, Louisiana." At least that's what I think she said. All I know for certain is that the church tipped again, and this time I tipped with it. Oh my, chapter 23.